So my talk for today is called A Little Goes a Long Way. The first week I was here, I spoke about how perspective is everything. And then last week I gave you a perspective around how you are mystical beings living a mystical experience. And I realized this past week that I was really addressing the idea of a very deep dive into consciousness, and that not everybody wants to do that. Some folks just want to show up on Sunday and feel that sense of love and connection, and that is great. And so I wanted to spend some time today just speaking on the magnificent reasons for simply walking in the door. The first is, this is an incredible place to experience love and inclusivity. It doesn't matter where you are in the LGBTQ spectrum. It doesn't matter your race, your color. What matters is how many are here who want to become a better person, a loving and kind individual. Raise your hand if that's why you're here. Well, that's good. That's a good reason to be here. There's so many here who want to express and receive love. That is such a big thing. First time I ever walked into a Science of Mind center. And I say Science of Mind with the idea that I am campaigning to change that to Science of Heart. Because I don't believe that Science of Mind is where the real change occurs, even though our founder, Ernest Holmes, did. I believe that that's just a beginning point. And what really happens is you got to drop it into the heart. You may have the thoughts, but until they drop in the heart, nothing really changes. So I'm going to call this Science of Heart going forward, because that's what I believe we're really dealing with here. First time I ever walked into a Science of Heart center, the minister was talking about how there's not an outside God, how God is in here. Having grown up Jewish, I'd never really heard that, even though I felt it. Nobody had ever vocalized it that way before. And that simple statement changed me, inspired me, gave me hope, faith, belief that there was something beyond what I had been taught as a child. Now, I knew there was, but I hadn't ever walked into a place that really vocalized that before. Maybe some of you have felt the same thing the first time you walked into a Science of Heart center. The idea being that there's something that the true power isn't here. Maybe you walked into a place and you felt that love, that acceptance, that light. And what a beautiful feeling that is. I know that did it for me. That really got me going and wanting to know more and show up more. And so today I'm going to give you some of the Science of Heart ideas that have changed my life that might impact yours. The first one is, whatever you focus on, you give power to. This is a really impactful idea, because lots of times when problems come up, things happen, we're focused on the problem. We're focused on what happened instead of putting, and thus giving it power, instead of focusing on where the solution is, what's beyond this, what is greater than this that can support us in getting through this. So, my last time on a motorcycle, I was coming down off a mountain about 5,000 feet on a very technical road, going back and forth. And I came to this one turn where the first thought I had was, better slow down. But then I have this other thought that has gotten me into trouble a lot in my life that says, nah, I can do it. And the next thing I know, that bike is dragging me across the pavement about 50 feet, sending road into my arm and leg, blood everywhere. I was very banged up. And here I am in the middle of nowhere, 100 miles from any hospital, lying there under this 800-pound bike. Really very banged up and worried about how this was going to, since blood's, coming out of me, what happens now? And then all of a sudden, I start hearing the theme from Rocky in my head. And so I start singing it out loud. And I'm laughing now. I'm in a lot of pain, and I'm laughing now. I'm going, okay, I am now the hero of my own story. I got to get me to a hospital. And I'm singing that song louder and louder. And finally, I pull myself out from under that bike. And I'm going, okay, this is working. I'm going to keep doing this. And I keep singing that Rocky anthem. And I lift that 800-pound bike. And I get on it and start riding to the hospital. As I'm riding to the hospital, a different theme from some, adventure movie came into my head. I don't remember what it was right now. Probably had more to do with, traveling music. But anyway, I'm on my way to the hospital and it starts pouring rain. And so the thing about this is I could have been focusing on my pain. I could now have been focusing on the rain that was pouring down on me. Instead, I kept my focus on, I'm the hero in this, and I get through. And by doing that, by giving the power to where I wanted to wind up, who I was being, I got through a situation where when I got to the hospital, not only were they amazed that I had rode that bike 100 miles, but that I had lived with all the blood loss. Passed out once I got there. They're sewing me up and pulling road out of me, and it's actually this arm and this leg. But there's a way in which what we focus on can get us beyond things that we can't even imagine. What you focus on, you give power to. And so you want to make sure what you're focusing on is the solutions, not the problem. Something that carries you. Allow yourself, like I did, to be carried, because seriously, there was no way, if I had been realistic, I would have been able to get out of that situation. The next I have for you comes from one of my favorite mentor, Dr. Barbara Waterhouse. She used to say all the time, it's not what you do first, it's what you do second. Now, this is a biggie for me because I don't know about you, but a lot of times when I'm upset about something, the next thing that used to happen for me is I would then get upset about being upset. I'm bigger than this. I've been in this teaching. What am I doing getting all upset about this? Right? But when I remember it's not what I do first, it's what I do second, then I can remember that what I'm giving power to is I better make sure I'm choosing that, and it's what I want to give power to, which is being that calm, centered, focused, mystical person. That's where I want to bring my power. That's where you want to bring your power. And so however you're responding, reacting to whatever situation is going on, if you can remember, it's not what I do first, it's what I do second, you can shift where it is you're holding your consciousness to something that might actually help, might actually lift you up, might actually bring you to a spot where, something new can occur. This is what's possible when we just are willing to think about these few simple ideas that can take you a long way, right? Little ideas that can take you a long way. The next one I have for you is there's more going on than meets the eye. No matter what the situation, no matter how realistic you think you're being, there's something else going on that you don't see all the time. It doesn't matter what the situation is. It doesn't matter what it looks like. There's always something more going on than you can see. This particular one became very clear to me about, I guess it's now 28 years ago. I was in the hospital, surrounded by a room full of doctors, telling me I had less than 5 days to live and should get my affairs in order. That they had done everything they can, nothing worked, and as far as they were concerned, realistically, I was a dead man. They left the hospital room, and I was sitting there thinking, well, if I'm really going to die in 5 days, I'm not doing it here. So I called in the nurse. I said, I'm going home. She said, you can't. I said, actually, I can, and ripped out the IV out of my arm. Called my ex-wife, said, come get me, I'm coming home. And I, at the time, owned a farmhouse on a lake with this gorgeous backyard, and the bedroom had the view of all of that. And I thought, I got my 3-year-old son at home, my wife, the view, that's what I'm going to go home with. So I go home thinking, realistically, I'm going to die. Now, one of the things, now the reason they thought I was going to die was that I had 106-degree fever. And everything they did, antibiotics, surgery, nothing they did made that fever drop. And I don't know if you've ever had a high fever, but the pain from the inflammation is off the charts. And so I'm home trying to get comfortable, waiting to die, just lying in this bed, when all of a sudden a friend of my ex-wife's calls. And she goes, I know you don't believe in anything beyond Western medicine, but since you're going to die anyway, why don't you just try this Hui healer that we know? And I thought, since I'm going to die anyway, why not give it a shot? So I go to this healer. He puts me on a table, and the reason I was telling you about all that pain was because what he's doing is he's pulling and pushing, and he's inside my mouth, and he's pushing on my belly and here and there, and I'm like, this is crazy, right? This is nuts. It hurts so bad. And then at some point he goes, okay, you're healed. That's $150. Go home. And sends me home. That night, my fever dropped to 101. That night. Now, 101 ain't healed, but it's not dead. And what I wish for you is that you don't wait until you're going to die anyway to look beyond what might be possible. Because that's the thing. There's always something possible. But we have to be open to it. We have to be willing to see it. We have to be able to go beyond whatever it is we think is realistic. And sometimes to do that is not so easy, right? We can get stuck in the idea that these are the facts. This is what it is. Experts telling you, like they told me I was going to die. But it's when you go through experiences like that, like I have, that you start to realize there's absolutely more going on than meets the eye. There's stuff going on. We can't even see it. We don't even know about it. We have to be able to dig deep in ourselves. And so you show up here on Sunday, and what you get to experience is a place where something wonderful is happening here. And what makes it wonderful? What makes it wonderful is that the intention that happens here is to express and receive love. Where we focus and want to give power to is in expressing and receiving love. To be inclusive no matter who's going on. That's what made it worthwhile for me to show up in the beginning, right? Just to want to be there, to want to feel that feeling of acceptance. There are places, I have been to centers where if somebody's in a bad place, they don't show up because they don't feel that love and acceptance. They feel the judginess of, how did you create that? Well, I want you to know that that's not what happens here. That if you're feeling down, you're feeling lost, you're feeling like things aren't going so well, this is the perfect place to be. This is where you can be loved. This is where you can share your love. This is where if you feel you got nothing to give, but you need to receive, this is a good place for that. What I have learned about Sunday mornings is that there's a ton of folks here who love to hug. And what a wonderful thing that is. So if you're feeling down, come in and get a hug. Because it feels so darn good and can be so uplifting. If you're not somebody who likes hugs, just come in and feel the energy. Do you all feel the energy in the room? Do you? Because I'm not seeing a lot of shaking heads here. There's something going on here that's wonderful because we love. Because we take the time to focus, putting our power where we want it. To forgive ourselves and others. It's not what we do first, it's what we do second. Forgiveness of ourselves, that self-love thing, I don't know about you, but I can forget that. I can lose that. And then I come back here. I mean, I have it easier than a lot of you, right? I'm the minister. So I have to make sure I spend my time remembering this stuff, right? That's my job. But the more you take that into your life, the more you see it permeate in terms of changes in what goes on with folks that you might not ever imagine. I have seen relationships, estranged relationships, shift in the most wonderful of ways. My last story for you was when my mom died. My mom, in all her brilliance, invited my sister and me, and I took Ash along with me, to be at her side as she transitioned. My sister and I have been estranged for 15 years. Not from a lack of me reaching out to her, but my sis just really wasn't open to making that new connection. And so here we are at Mom's transitioning. She transitions, and in the Jewish religion, you have to have the body in the ground in 3 days. And this was Thursday. And in Kentucky, where my mom lived, well, first of all, the gravesite she wanted to be in was next to her brother in Long Island, New York. And her body's now in Connecticut. And they're saying, no, there's no possible way for you to get that body to Long Island by Sunday, because the offices close on Friday and it takes more than a day to process everything. Then all of a sudden, my sister and I had to work together in a way that we hardly seen each other for years. And we literally moved the government of Kentucky to get my mom's body out of Kentucky to Long Island by Sunday to have the memorial at the gravesite. We did that together. And so after that experience of working together like that, that night I took my sister out and I got her drunk and asked her, what's been going on between us? What is it? And she told me, and I didn't even know I had done that. I didn't even know what I had done until she shared it with me. And so we were able to find this forgiveness that I didn't even know was possible because I'd honestly given up. But my mom, in all her brilliance, had brought us together at just the right moment in time. You just don't know when you open up, when you allow for something you never even thought was possible. You don't even know the magic, the beauty, the brilliance. And so you might not know when you're sitting at home and feeling down that what's possible when you walk in these doors. You might not even know what can happen. Who might walk up to you and say, hey, how you doing? Share with me. Let's be together on this. No one has to feel alone as long as this place stands. As long as this place is here, no one has to feel alone. That love that we share is here week in and week out. That idea that what we focus on, we give power to, and here it's love. Whatever you did first, you can do something different second. Something that can rise you up. And the possibilities are infinite. We live in a universe that is expanding all the time, creating new possibilities every moment of every day. This is what's available to all of us in a community together in the divine. I love you. Thank you.